Now some applications and really just writing functions in terms of a variable. So number 5, you work in the marketing department of a soft drink company and are experimenting with a new can for iced tea that is slightly narrower and taller than a standard can. For your experimental can, the ratio of the height to the radius is 4. So the ratio of the height to the radius is 4. They have that written right here for you. So they have an equation written out to that. So what we want to do is we want to write the volume of the can as a function of R. So what that means is we want to take our volume, which is of a cylinder like this, it's area of the base, which is a circle, so pi r squared times the height. Okay? We want to write this with only r's when it says as a function of the radius. So we want to write v equals with only the r variable. So what that means is we need to get rid of the h. We need to solve for h here, make some notes. We want to solve for h, so there's going to be an r in it instead. So if we take this and we solve for h, we can get the r out of the denominator by multiplying. So we get h equals 4 times r. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to substitute it in for h because we only want an r in our equation. So if we replace, we keep the pi, we keep the r squared, and instead of h, we put 4r because that's what it's equal to. Then notice I can say v with it as a function of r, so I only have r's in there, is, and then I can multiply this all together. So 4 pi can stay, and then I have r squared and r, so r squared times r is r to the third. So here we have our volume formula with only the radius. There's no height in there, only the radius. And then here we want to do the opposite, and we want to write the volume as a function of h. So we want to use the same equation, and we want to keep the h, and we want to get rid of the r. So we want to keep h, we want to get rid of the r. So if we go back to the equations we were using and we solve for r instead, so if I take this, h equals 4r, and I get r by itself, I would divide by 4. R is h divided by 4. So that I can substitute in for r because I want to get rid of the r and I want to put an h in there. So h divided by 4 is what my r value is. So I'm going to say volume as a function of h, or height, is pi. And then for substituting in, we said r squared is h divided by 4. That is squared, and then times h. So if we simplify here, the volume in terms of height is pi, and then we need to square both of these. So h squared, and then in the denominator, 4 squared is 16 times h. And then we can go ahead and multiply the two h's together. So our final function would be pi times h to the third power, and then the 16 in the denominator. Number 6, write the area A of a circle as a function of its circumference. Okay, so we want area. So area of a circle is pi r squared. But we want to have the variable c in there. So we want area as a function of the circumference. Well, what's the circumference? Circumference is 2 pi r, or pi times diameter. But because we have a radius, we have an r in this function, in this formula, we want to use the equation that has r in it. And then what we want to do is we want to replace this r, or r squared, so we want to solve for r here. So if we solve for r, we have c equals 2 pi r. We divide by 2 and pi. So r equals c divided by 2 pi, and that can be substituted in here. So we have our pi that's already there, and then r is c divided by 2 pi, and it's squared. So now just to simplify, this would be our pi that we already have, and then we need to square everything on the inside here. So it would be c squared over 2 squared, which is 4, and pi squared, which is just pi squared. And then we can simplify because we have a pi in the numerator and we have 2 of them in the denominator. So we can take one away there. So we should get c squared over 4 pi. So there's our area. So if I write that out as a function, in terms of the circumference, c squared over 4 times pi. All right, in an application, so here we're given the cost per unit in a production of an MP3 player, $60. The manufacturer charges $90 per unit for orders of 100 or less. To encourage larger orders, the manufacturer reduces the charge by 15 cents per MP3 player for each unit ordered in excess of 100. For example, there would be a charge of $87 per MP3 player for an order size of 120. The table shows the profit P in dollars. So there's my profit. That looks like that's the Y value for various numbers of units ordered, which is the X value. Use the table to estimate maximum profit. So when we're looking at profit, maximum we know means the largest. So if we look at all these numbers, notice we increase here, but then we decrease when we get to from 3,375 to 3,360. So notice how this is my highest, this is the largest profit, so that's my maximum value. So to estimate the maximum profit just by simply looking at this table, the max profit is $3,375. That's all that's asking you for. So just reading a table, knowing what that information represents. And then letter B, plot the points from the table. Does the relation defined represent a function? Now, when we graph this brings up a good thing to talk about with graphing. So I know I'd have my X and my Y. X are units, Y is the profit. Okay. But these are pretty large, like 130 to 170. I don't want to do like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, all the way out to 170. So what you can do to show that you're kind of like zooming in on your graph is down in the corner. So I'm going to get rid of all those little, there we go. Down in the corner here, you can make just kind of like a zigzag line, and that shows you that you're cutting the graph apart. So this is kind of showing like you're zooming in, because then what that allows us to do is start our graph where our information starts. So I can say, well, this is 130, 140, 150, 160, and 170. Okay. If you don't show that you're cutting anything off, this would not be a good scale. We should start at 0, but if you don't want to start at 0, you can kind of put that little zigzag and show that you're zooming into your graph. So then the profit goes from 33.15 to 33.75. So we could go by increments of 15, I suppose. So we could say this is 3,300, 33.15. And there we go. So then we have where we can make our graph nice and zoomed in to the points that we want. So at 130, we have 3,315, 140 goes up to 60, 150 goes up to that 75, 160 goes back to the 60, and 170 goes back to that 15. So it looks kind of like a parabola shape here. And is it a function? Yes, if we use that vertical line test, none of those lines cross through more than once. So yes, it is a function. Good, here's your assignment. Notice how I've really pieced it apart. So make sure you copy down all those numbers correctly. So you're only doing the ones that you need to, and they're all odd, so you can check your answers in the back.